So you're back, 1 p.m. Hello again, and welcome to this session, to this Baltimore webinar, the first session of Electrical Apprentice. So today we have Scolmore Group with Jake and Darren. Hello, guys, again, welcome.
Hello, thank you very much for having us.
Okay, so you can start. It's over to you, please.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to all those that are logged in. We can see a lot of our friends logging in again. Neil McManus, Alex up at College Cumbria. Hello and welcome to you all. If you want to put questions to us, you can today. This is really about making sure you've got enough information to understand how your career is going to progress and grow. So please put the questions in. We want them as we go, don't we? So we're going to be looking at these.
We'll take them as we go. So if something crops up, or you even just you want to ask us about anything in general, electrical industry, our jobs, what we do, some of the products that we deal with, anything like that, please feel free to answer questions.
Yeah, we can take them questions. Don't have to wait to the end. If it's topical, we'll start to look for these ones and start to go through. So we thought we'd start off by probably introducing ourselves and talking about ourselves, which we're pretty good at, really, aren't we?
You are.
I know a lot about myself, so I like talking about it. So this is to talk mainly about how I got into the industry. So back in the mid-90s, I decided that I wanted to be an electrician. And at that time, we had the opportunity to go and do work experience, and work experience then led me into my employer. But something I also did, I made sure that at that point there, I'd done letters, and the difference between the letters that I was doing and some of my school colleagues were doing, they were just simply doing a letter and sending it off, whereas my parents at the time believed, no, you must go and deliver the letter, to deliver it by hand. So I did, done the letter, put it in an envelope, knocked on the door, actually handed it to a couple of electrical contractors in and around the area. And I was lucky enough that Harrison Electrical at the time, a Bedfordshire-based company, picked me up and put me through my apprenticeship, my qualification. And I honestly do believe that it was that personal touch that was the difference. Different era now, though, Jake, isn't it? Because emails take over and stuff like that. And I still believe if you have the ability to do so, that personal touch may get you through some of the hoops to get in the employment.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to just see here, someone's asked, how do I apply for apprenticeships? Mine was a little bit different, Darren. I got into it through actually a good friend of yourselves, Derek Hope. He helped me. Luckily, he knew my dad, so I was a bit fortunate in that sense because he got me in the door. But just from some of the experiences I've had after coming out of college and talking to people, a lot of people are saying that, social media aspect as well is a great way of doing it. Offering yourself as work experience always goes down well. Free labor. I know you may not want to give up your time, but sometimes if you want to get into something, that's the way it has to go. Bit like an internship, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trade counters, put in your local Screwfix if you pop in and out of there. Or whether you be at CEF or any of the electrical wholesalers, you could put letters in there to say, look, I'm looking for something. I'm prepared to come and do a day or two's work to see how we get on. This is show you my attitude as well, because I think that's a big problem or a big issue for employers these days is youngsters are always seem to be, kind of glued to their phone, which is not a problem with that. But you also need to understand that the attitude of an apprentice is key. And if you can apply yourself, then you'll go a long way.
Yeah, having worked with apprentices, it is the thing that always gets mentioned. Are they always on time? Are they punctual? Are they achieving? So there's some of the things that always gets asked. Now, after applying for the job, I was lucky enough to secure an apprenticeship lasting 4 years with the MVQ level 3 that maybe a lot of you are probably working towards. And that meant that I was at college 1 day a week on a day release scheme. So I was with the employer for 4 days, going to the college 1 day. Now, that meant that I had the opportunity to earn and learn, which was great. And, well, I say great, and I say earn. I'm not quite sure I earned an awful lot. I was on £1 an hour when I first started. So at the end of the week, £40 a week is all I was getting as a first-year apprentice electrician. And these are some of the barriers. Some people say, I just can't survive on that. And you realize that's where it starts. That's the very minimum. That's probably the worst you'll be. And it will get better financially for you when you start to move through your years and you start to move through all the courses and qualifications that you're going to do. It will definitely get better.
Yeah, I think when you look at that, Darren, and you're £1 an hour, I think mine was about 115 a week. Yeah. I'm not sure what the going rate is today. I've not asked them, but it's one of those where if you can make it through them 4 years and get to the end of it, then you'll reap the benefits. It's definitely it's not easy, for sure. Going through the courses and the tests and the exams and all that, it's not easy. But if you've already started, you may as well finish it. If you can afford to finish it and get to the end of it, you're always going to have that to fall back on. I think that's the most important thing for me.
I mean, we want to really discuss where this qualification takes you. I mean, the opportunity to talk to us on the webinar has been looking at a career, and it is a career. It's still providing me and my family. Same with Jake and his young family as well. It's a career. It will follow you through life, and it all starts off by getting that first bit done, the qualification. How you get that qualification is entirely up to you. No one will ever be able to take it away. You either provide yourself the own learning by going and doing a full time, or you go and get the apprenticeship, or you go and do a bit of mixture of both, because we've known a lot of people to do a full time up to a certain point, then gain employment and then move on. That's a really rewarding way of doing it. Full time really means that you're doing it at college for about 15, 16 hours a week before then doing it into the add-ons that they'll be doing. There are many different ways. Some people may be looking at this and their career changes and they're changing in their later on in life. They may provide that the college local to them does evening classes. And we've met an awful lot of them in our journeys as well, haven't we, Jake?
We have indeed.
Now, many routes will provide, but ultimately what you're looking for is you're looking for the qualification that would recognise you to be an electrician. I done it, Jake done it, and then our careers went slightly differently. So after being an electrician, after being back out in the industry for a couple of years, I got offered the opportunity to go back into education, where I'd come from, but this time not as a trainer, but as someone going to be doing the training. So I was going to be going back in to study to become a lecturer. So that took me into that arena. But I couldn't have done that, Jake, unless I had the base qualification, the electrical qualification.
Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? Because you need to have, when you go into that world, into lecturing, you need to have that qualification behind you in order so that you, when you do eventually go out there and get your teaching qualification as well, you can already know. So you almost needed double the amount of qualifications that you normally would to go into teaching.
Yeah. Now, again, it was a fantastic route, and shortly after doing the qualifications and getting into it, an opportunity presented itself where I could go back out into industry as a contracts manager. So a contracts manager will generally look after the contracts that are coming in. Very simple. And you manage them through looking at the pricing structure, looking at the labour, looking at the materials, and then making sure it gets completed technically correct as well was one of the big things we had to look at the end of it. So I was going out on site, I was going to meetings, I was arranging labour. The majority of my life revolved around a diary, Jake, and making sure the diary was fit for purpose and the right amount of people were in the right places at the right time. You do get quite a lot steeped up in finances, so really sharpening your pencil to make sure you can win jobs, and that I enjoyed that part of it as well. And also working with different types of people was always a key thing that I really did enjoy. The customers, the clients was one angle, but also the contractors and those people that were working with me was another angle. And then I went back into education, Jake. I don't know why, but I just got attracted back into education. So from there, I went back in and I was managing a lot of the short course provisions down at Bedford College. So I started to manage the department as a whole. So I started to look at those. These are the qualifications for electrical contractors, Jake. So back then it was the regs qualification. It was the inspection testing qualification. So we used to look after those. And the PAT testing qualification. So I used to manage those short, chunky, constant professional development courses that people used to come into. And I would see a group for a week at a time, and that would be it. And then I'd drop down to assisting on delivery of the other courses as well. And then an opportunity went to work for NIC EIC on their technical helpline, delivering some qualifications for them, looking at technical standards across the UK. But again, I would not have been able to do either of them jobs at all if I wouldn't have got the electrical qualification as the basis of my career. And that's basically what it's all come from. It's all come from that one very part. Now, your career is slightly different, wasn't it? Because you'd started or had a stop, start, and then got going. And then you went off into industry doing PV and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was pretty much the same route. I did an apprenticeship. Mine was actually 3 years, Darren. I was quite fortunate because I did block release instead of what you did on the day release. So I was lucky enough to be able to do that. I went into energy saving measures, really. It was. So I did a lot of solar panels, did a lot of LED lighting, so that sort of way, as well as all the general stuff. So still doing the rewires, still doing the farming work. So we did a bit on agriculture as well, machinery, etc. And then sort of took a little bit of a detour and went into sort of maintenance.
Yeah.
So I moved away from electrical as a whole, and then went into maintenance of large commercial properties, whether that was retail or whether that was, more office-based stuff. So I moved away into that, and then all of a sudden I found myself at NIC as well, and then we're here now. But again, I couldn't have done any of the stuff that I've done without that base qualification. There were so many times, I think, not necessarily the exam side of things, but the financial, when I could see all my friends going out and going on holidays and, swanning off every weekend to a different part of Europe. And there was me, not necessarily struggling, but I couldn't do all of those things. But their jobs were, already evolved. So they were on better money. So there were so many times that I thought, I'll need to give up doing this. And my parents told me, no, stick at it now. And, I'm very grateful for that.
So we've got some questions that are coming in. Again, please continue to put your questions in. Someone's talking here about JOB. JOB, they are an amazing scheme provider that look for NVQs within the electrical industry. They do a lot of matching between organisations, companies and apprentices. So if you're wondering how to apply for them, they've got loads of things on their website, and they're a really good website to go to. Very simply, just click a couple of links and you can enter some details there. There's also the apprenticeship qualification or website, again, where you can go to and you can start to look through those. Not very specific when it comes to our sector. It's a generic look at all apprenticeships, although there is a notice board on there that you can also look at. But we know Apprentice 1-to-1, he has been doing some amazing work in this sector. So Apprentice 1-to-1, you can find him on Twitter. He does a lot of pairing up from organisations to apprentices.
That's Mark Allison.
Yeah, so he's a fantastic guy. He's been doing lots and lots of work. And again, you can have a look for those. And what you will find is that your qualification that you are going for, the electrical qualification, if you think at the end of it, that's it, I'm just going to be pulling in cables from A to B, putting up lights and sockets for the rest of my days, we can assure you now it's not. If you look at me and Jake sat here now, when I was an apprentice, I thought all I was going to be was an electrician. I never dreamt that my qualifications would open up so many doors and opportunities to so much in such a varied industry. For instance, you could, after being an apprentice, decide that electrician's the next step for you. After that, Jake, it's probably people take two career changes then, don't they? You either want to go and work for yourself and have Friday afternoons off and stuff like that. So that's where you decide, I'm going to go and work for myself, dictate what I do, when I do it and how I do it. And that may be something you want to go to. But you may decide that actually you're going to stick with the company that you've been working with, and that's you're going to move into that area and move into maybe a supervisor role or move into a qualified supervisor role. Now, qualified supervisors are really important, aren't they, Jake?
They are indeed, yeah. So they're the people that do the check-in of the check-in, as I like to call them. So any sort of works that go on within that business, they're the person that has the overall sign-off, and then they would be checking all of the work that goes on within that company. So they'll be checking every electrician that they have, all of the apprentices that they have, and any of the supervisors that they have as well.
Yeah. So, and again, they're really important if the organisation, the contracting business, is registered with someone such as NIC, EIC, Alexa, NAPIT, ECA. There needs to be one person that they go to, and it's that qualified supervisor. Now, with this responsibility, Jake, comes money, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And I think that's probably one thing that I found all the way throughout. And, I spoke earlier on about my wages as an apprentice. I think that was because I didn't have any responsibility, Darren.
What does that say about me on £40 a week then? No responsibility at all.
My responsibility was to sweep up, carry things from the van, tools, etc. It was only when I started to get more and more responsibilities, that's when sort of the money started going up and up. So that's one thing that I found probably throughout life. It's not necessarily just the electrical industry, but the more and more responsibility that you have tends to come with more and more money.
Now, one thing we will say, if you are looking at going into the industry on your own, and it's got fantastic rewards if you're working for yourself, if you think about it, the only qualification you've actually done is an electrical qualification. Yet you're sitting there, and it may only be a small business, it may only be employing yourself, but you're still the director of finance, the director of marketing, the director of HR, the director of health and safety. You still have to do all of those things, but you've still only had one official training program. So it is really important that if you are looking to go into that route, that maybe you try and do something in those areas, or lean on people to do things for you rather than trying to do everything. Jake and I have seen, unfortunately, some people that have got big quick, as you know, and at that point it just tumbles over and doesn't stay very strong for very long. Now, a number of questions that are coming in are around some of the qualifications that someone's looking here. We've got one question about some MVQ. So MVQ 3s and the bits and bobs that we were all working towards. Can you go higher? Yes, you can. There are a number of MVQ routes that are after that, mainly moving into looking at
design.
Yeah, design is a level 3, isn't it? A level 4, so you can move into that area. For MVQ levels, you can also go into some of those areas, and that is, again, depending in management structures and stuff like that. So you start to move away from the hands-on nitty-gritty, and you're starting to move into those other areas. But design is definitely a level 4 qualification. I know that because I sat on the team looking to provide that from City and Guild's point of view, and it's got an element of management in it, and that's the difference. You're on a management structure now, so that's the level 4 qualifications. They are fantastic qualifications to do, and there are quite a lot of providers around, either with City and Guilds or with EAL, that would allow you to find somewhere local to you to allow you to do it. So there's those there. So some other questions that are coming in.
I'm doing an EAL level 2 already as a mature student. Any guidance on securing a role with my background? So I guess you're suggesting here that you've already got the level 2. They're saying that I'm part way through. Now I want to go to the level 3 side of things. If that's your background, then yeah, sure, you can go and secure a role. Explain to whoever it may be that's looking to take on you as an apprentice. And they with the wages structure on that, Darren, they are slightly different, aren't they?
Yeah, they would. JOB, and again, if it's a JOB organisation, and JOB also look at the rates. So JTL look after apprentices, JIB look after a lot of people that are registered with the JIB in one structure or another, but they set rates effectively, and they're the union that will also be adopting positions for looking after its staff and members. But with that EAL level 2 qualification, just be mindful what area of the industry you want to work in, because if it's the domestic installer EAL qualification, it really is only that bit. You're allowed to work on electrical installations, doing small installation work. If you're looking to do larger installations, such as rewires and the like, then you've got to go really probably for the full NVQ level 3. And that, the NVQ level 3, is where pretty much everyone really wants to go for. That is the qualification that would allow you to become the qualified and registered and competent electrician to be able to work across all sorts of systems that we see here in the UK predominantly. So that would allow you to go and do that. But again, it's perhaps worth talking to your local training provider to find out what gaps exist so that you can actually match them up.
Somebody's asked here if someone already has a qualification already, can the person still apply for an apprenticeship program? If you want to apply for an apprenticeship program outside of the qualification that you already have, then yeah, I would assume you can do so. But if you've already done that apprenticeship, you can't then re-enter it.
And you want to have another go at it? Yeah, I enjoyed it so much the first time. I want to have another go. I mean, effectively, there would be nothing wrong with you applying to your local college to sit the qualification. What you're probably going to find is, because you've done it once, you've used up your funding. So the funding routes may not be open to you after using it. I also know that if you're changing sectors as well, so if you've done a qualification somewhere else in one sector and you want to go somewhere else and move into another sector, you may find that there may be not some funding available for you in certain parts of the UK. Again, changing with some structures that are there. So just be mindful of that if you're looking to go into those.
Someone's asking, where can I apply for an apprenticeship? I think that's been done by the same chap or the same login 3 or 4 times now. I think that where can I apply situation is you have to use your own common sense.
Yeah,
we do know that if you go to NRC website, Darren, you can actually look at the local contractors to you. So you could list off them. The details should be on there, the numbers.
The postcode for NIC. It's same with NAPIT. If you go into NAPIT,
Yeah.
you can search contractors by postcode. You can get them from them. Again, this will give you who's in your local area. So that may give you the opportunity then to start to write your letters, actually aim them at people rather than writing a generic letter and getting out there. And small contractors do really like that personal touch of you delivering it not handwritten note maybe, but knocking on the door, delivering it, introducing yourself. This is who I am. I'm looking for an opportunity. Can I leave you with this? That always goes down really, really well.
And I think as well, the thing to remember is you probably are going to get knocked back once or twice, aren't you? You're never going to just go in the first one and they're going to say, "Yep, no worries, we've got a job for you." Yeah. So probably just keep going and going and going until you eventually do find one. You know, I think that's the only advice you can really say with that.
So we want to start to look at opportunities that will provide itself that maybe you haven't thought of. So if you're looking at electrical contractors' vans and you're seeing on there, they've got things such as CCTV, fire alarm, electric vehicle charging, renewables. Mm-hmm. All of these will stem from their electrical background. You'll find that the electrical background is the big thing. And it may be that after doing your qualification, you never go back into doing twin and earth lights and sockets and stuff like that ever again. You move into these renewable sectors or move into heating controls, you move into heat pumps, PV systems, electric vehicle charging, maybe something you want to specialise in. That is entirely up to you because no one can take that qualification away and it's up to you which sector you want to work in. We've even known, Jake, people to, like I did, move into a slightly different part of this industry, moving to the academic side of things. But I've even known people, Jake, to take a qualification and move into wholesale and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's wholesalers are starting to look for electricians, really. They're just trying to make sure that when somebody walks in, they're talking to somebody that understands the same language as them. That's because as electricians, there is a certain language and there is certain things that you ask for when you go to a wholesaler that, you know, if you're not au fait with the language, you probably wouldn't understand. So they would see it as time as money. As a wholesaler, they would think, well, if the people that are working for me can understand the language when somebody does come in to buy it, it's more beneficial for them in the long run. So they are looking for people with electrical backgrounds.
And again, the wholesale network, if you work your way up in, call it a career, and you work your way up through there are massive rewards for wholesalers, isn't there? So working in that sector again. Or you may decide that it may be manufacturing that you want to get into. So here at Scolmore, we pride ourselves on coming up with design and research and manufacturing all the product range that we've got. So we do so much with the team there, and they come with ideas. We listen to industry, they go back out and fit it. And rather than having just someone who's really good at CAD on a computer, it's based from an electrical angle. They understand sockets and switches and where they can or can't be fitted. And the next new innovation comes from someone who understands it even better, because then there is no gap between the designer and the person researching it. So that's the big thing here. So again, I'd say it's endless where you want to take yourselves in your careers. So without looking at specific holes, you can make it quite niche for yourself. We know a lot of people that, for instance, finish their electrical apprenticeship and they'll say, I'm not doing any domestic. Domestic isn't for me. I'm not going to touch domestic at all. I don't want to go into people's houses. I don't want to
crawl around in lofts.
Yeah, not crawl around in lofts. That's not for me. And they just go out and do industrial or commercial. And that is something that's seen as a really big skill, isn't it? And again, these skills that are going to be given to you when you're doing your apprenticeship or when you're sitting there completing your studies for your level 3, this again will open up so many doors to you, and it's up to you. It's entirely up to you which one of those you want to go with. So we've got some more questions, didn't we? So,
yeah, someone's asked, what sector do you think that is the hardest? Domestic, commercial, industrial? I think it depends on what sector you've been brought up in. So if you've always been brought up in a domestic setting, you'll find the other two very difficult.
Yeah.
When you was an apprentice, Darren, I know we're speaking before to you, that you said when you did your apprenticeship, you did a mixture of all three of them. You was really everywhere,
lucky.
Weren't you?
I was really lucky. One week we could be doing some industrial on farms or something like that, and then 20mm conduit, galv trunking. The next week you could be rewiring a house or putting in some downlights for someone. And the week after that, you could be in maintenance on schools. So I was very, very lucky. Harrison Electrical gave me a fantastic apprenticeship where I was mixed around all over the place. But I appreciate that's not the same for everyone.
No, well, not for me either, really. suggested I'd probably weight up at 60% was domestic, because I did a lot of solar PV stuff on people's houses, but I also did dip into the other sectors. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I found them difficult, because I had the fundamental principles through my apprenticeship, but it was more of a challenge to get back into that mindset of doing industrial or commercial. I don't think one of them's harder than the other, because the fundamental principles are exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's just once you move away from that sector, or you don't do that as often, sometimes when you go to like bend a piece of conduit, it takes you 2 or 3 lengths to get it right instead of doing it.
We used to find that if you hadn't done conduit for a while, you turn up, the first half a bundle's gone, because you're learning how to use that conduit bender again and again. They're things that again used to frustrate. But which one was the hardest? I think there's different pressures. I think domestically it's quite hard, because you get the real pressures from the client, whereas commercially and industrially, the pressures, the client isn't there looking over your shoulder all the time. Whereas domestically, they tend to want to be, don't they? Always want to be there, talking to you, making sure what you want to do. Can I put the kettle on? Well, no, I've got the power off. You can't put the kettle on. So you do get challenges like that, and it's different challenges. You don't necessarily get that. And a more of a site, so you're doing commercial, industrial, there'll be a site canteen and stuff like that. So you get that. Whereas domestically, you're probably eating in the van, aren't you? Let's take it like that. So you're probably looking at different challenges for those ones there.
Someone else has asked, Alex here has said, do Scolmore offer training for apprenticeship electricians for ClickSmart products? Well, we've got the new range, haven't we? We've got the ClickSmart Plus range. We do offer some training if you are either part of a college, or you would like to visit our centre here at the Visitors Centre at some point, then please do get in contact with us.
We can do some training. We can do training on Zoom. We do it face to face. We can come to you with a number of the packs and deliver the training, or you can come here if it's viable for you to do so. We've got an amazing visitor centre where we could again do some learning with the ClickSmart Plus. So we've got ClickSmart and ClickSmart Plus, which is the new range of stuff that we've got out, which you can do via your app and connect to lots of multiple things and outgoing at the same time. So there's lots there that we can do. So yeah, just feel free to get in touch with us on that one. And
how can I contact you? What's the training email?
training@scolmoregroup.com. So you can get hold of us at that one. So please feel free to do so.
Neil's asked, are there any additional certificated courses which we could study, fire alarms or smart homes?
Fire alarms have got some qualifications, some additional qualifications, again, aimed at level 3. So it's aimed at the same level, but you're just moving out into that sector. And again, your electrical qualifications that you've got will really help you, really help you in that sector. Not as long as a normal electrical qualification, normally about 3 to 4 days or maybe a week wherever you're going. And I think there are some in the smart side of things as well, aren't they? Some of the larger stuff as well.
Yeah, so you can go to people like Cedia. They've got qualifications on there. You'll find with a lot of the smart stuff, it is actually manufacturer led as well. So if, for example, our products that we have, you can simply contact us and we'll take you through the training so you can understand how our product works. When you tend to move away from our product to go to somebody else, they will have their own ways of connecting devices together. So the smart homes one is you'll get certificates from the manufacturer, but not necessarily unless you go up to the large end stuff, the KNX, all that type of thing. There's not really any courses out there that would be certificated.
That's more around building automation rather than smart homes. So that's the sort of the heavy stuff that's involved.
Fire alarms, you've got 5839 courses. They are broken down into 3 or 4 different parts down actually.
Fundamentals, design, installation, commissioning. So again, there's the
contact base for those as well. They do a great course there. I've heard good things about the course. It is difficult. The fundamental one is particularly hard to do, but if you could apply yourself and the knowledge that you already have from your apprenticeship, then you should be fine.
Someone's asked about the qualifications or gaining an apprenticeship without going to college or hold on a minute, let's just check. Can you go through college without an apprenticeship? Yes, there are full-time routes through college. It wouldn't allow you to complete the full level 3 framework, but it allow you to work towards it. and you can talk to your college about swapping from one to the other when you gained employment. So that would be something that you could do. I've known lots of people to do that. So again, talk to a local training provider to see if there's the option to do that, to move from one to the other. There may be some issues around funding. Again, you need to discuss with them, but again, that'd be for them to sort out, not necessarily you yourself to do that. So you can, again, talk to them about starting on one program, and then through a successful interview process, you get yourself a job, move over and go the 1 day a week. They may actually say, because the academic year or where you are in the academic year, stick it out. See if you can talk to your employer, see if you can do the full-time route, maybe 2 days a week rather than 1 day a week, and then swap over when the academic year changes. So it may be worthwhile having a chat with them about some of them routes that are available to you. So there's some there.
Please, could you share some of these websites, the training companies, with learners on the Voltimum website?
Yeah, Voltimum have all got links to some of these anyway. So yeah, please have a chat, and we'll have a chat with the Voltimum team as well, just to make sure off the back of this there are some links going out. You'll have the access to this again, so you can rewatch it again at any one time. If there's something me and Jake have spoken about and it's been too quick for you to jot down, you'll have the ability to look at it again. Because
just thinking also they could follow our any of our social platforms if you want to follow those. SGTV, there's some fantastic videos on there talking about industry guidance on there. And Darren, if they do need to get in contact with us and we advertise our training on our socials, then they could obviously apply for that as well.
We've also got an app that is very supportive. It's got calculators on there to help electrical contractors and apprentices with lighting design, with calculations for maximum ZS values and stuff like that. So there's an app. Just simply go to whichever your app provider is, have a look for Scolmore, and there's an app there that you can download for free of charge, and you can use it as much as you want. It does aid with some of the level 3 qualifications. We've been using it with some colleges this year to help them when it comes to looking at their projects. So we've been looking at those, especially with regard to lighting design. So we've been doing that with them. It just helps give them amount of lights that should be in certain types of rooms. So that's there for you to have a look at there.
Are Scolmore Group taking on any apprentices?
Well, we've been talking about this. We do look to see if we can support. So rather than us take them on directly, if there are training providers that want us to come and help support, Jake, will be too happy to come out and visit the training providers and give talks to support you there. We're looking at maybe new T levels. I know we've been doing work with Neil McManus, who's been listening to us again, to see what support we can give to people taking on apprentices. So rather than taking on 1 or 2, we believe by doing this we can help hundreds of apprentices. So that's the reason for not taking them on directly. So we've got these down in Exeter. PLG Training in Exeter can offer various training routes into the electrical industry. Absolutely fantastic there, Dean. So there's another one. So if anyone listening to this wants to know, PGL are down there in and around Exeter. I like it down there, Jake. It's quite nice, Exeter, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, we've been there for a while. I haven't been anywhere for a while. So if you've got any more questions, please put them in. But we've got the half-hour mark. What we'll do is we'll just quickly summarise what we've been going through with you here. Someone wants to know what salary expectations when one on an apprenticeship program. When you're on an apprenticeship program, okay. So it definitely changes. We know it changes from region, and it depends again whether that person's known to the organisation, whether it's a sole trader taking them on, or whether it's a large organisation taking them on. The larger organisations tend to have more of a structure, so you're guaranteed a pay review every so often. Whereas when it looks at the small, medium enterprises, that tends to be on a yearly basis, and also based upon the qualifications more than anything else.
And I think as well, Darren, it depends on the candidate. Yeah. If you're going into a business or you're going into a company and they see your worth, you're really good at sweeping up. Yeah. Then they'll find you. They'll say to you, actually, you're really good at doing the things that we've asked you to do. Therefore, your value is worth a little bit more. That responsibility level is going up, and so does your money at the same time. Yeah,
you can see it like that, can't you? So just to underline, if you're currently looking for electrical apprenticeships, there are a couple of places you can go to. You can go to the JOB, you can go to your local training provider, or that Apprentice 1-to-1. He's been fantastic, and he's had a great success rate of pairing people up. So again, Apprentice 1-to-1, have a look at for him. He's done some amazing work. Again, once the base qualification is achieved, No one's taking that away from you, and it literally can lead anywhere. We've got members of staff here that have got an electrical base qualification, and they're now directors of sales. We've got other directors that are looking at bits and bobs. But so again, not just here, but you look at other industries as well, or other organisations. This the electrical stuff that they want. The other stuff that you tend to pick up through life. This is the electrical, the basis of your understanding that comes from the electrical world that they really, really need. So please bear that in mind as well.
Does the apprenticeship program accept international students? I believe so. You would have to provide details of...
you can come if you want to come to the UK and learn, again, you can do. You need to look at the funding mechanisms for that, because I believe the funding mechanisms at the minute would be different for students outside of the UK. So you need to look at that, and again, choose where you're going to be living. Choose where you're going to be completing your apprenticeship if you want to do it that way, or you want to study full time. Talk to them, because they will be able to give you the information that you need regarding funding. It's the funding that's going to be the thing that you really need to look at there. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, you need to talk directly to them about funding regimes. So me and Jake have spent about a half hour with you. We've done some questions. If you've got any more questions for you, maybe we'll slip one or two more in. But if there are no questions, then what we'll really do is we'd say thank you very much for the opportunity to talk with you. We really do appreciate it. We're going to hand back to our friends back at Voltimum now, just to round up. And if you do get any questions in, Mr. Voltimum, just send them over to us after this, and we'll pick them up later.
Perfect, guys. Perfect. Darren and Jake, thank you very much for your presentation. And thank you, everyone, as well, for the engagement, for the interactions. We had many questions, really good. So before we finish the session, let me just put a survey here. And I ask you, everyone, please, if you can participate and reply these questions, just 2 questions, multiple choice. Is really easy to fill. It's in the big screen now. And by the way, if you want to re-access this session afterwards, it will be the recorded webinar, the recorded session will be on Voltimore Academy. So anyone who got late for the session, or if you want to take a look at some details again, please access Voltimore Academy. Until the end of the day, it will be there. Okay? Let me write down in the chat box. voltimore.co.uk/academy. Yeah, so it's in the chat box as well. So Jake and Darren, just a couple of minutes, just 1 minute more. Just let's wait so they can complete the survey and we can finish the session, please. It's okay. Just a moment more. Okay, guys, thank you very much for completing the survey. So let's come back. And Jake, Darren, thank you again. Would you like to leave a last comment, please?
Well, again, we don't forget, we've got lots over at SGTV. We know the guys at Voltimum, the apprenticeship, have got lots as well. We work in partnership with them. So please, if you want to get in contact with us, just please drop us a line. And if there's anything off the back of today you want to talk to us about, just get in touch. And if we can help, we will do. So until next time, from me and Jake, thank you very much. Stay safe, and we hope to see you again soon. Take care.
Thank you very much. And have a last comment here. We'd like to have more webinars like this. Of course, thank you for your comments, and stay tuned for our next communications. It's only the first webinar we do with electrical apprentices, and we have much more soon. Okay? Thank you. Right. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Take care, all. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.